This is Black Views, bringing you the Black news. Breaking news, breaking news. Nigeria has been attacked by U.S. due to ISIS. Let's listen.
Okay, so you see that flash in the night sky. That's where we begin. An eye to the deadly U.S. military strikes against ISIS in Nigeria. This is video of that strike released from the Defense Department. President Trump on social media had this to say: "I've previously warned these terrorists that if they do not stop slaughtering Christians, there would be hell to pay." And tonight, there was. The president spent weeks accusing the Nigerian government of failing to stop alleged targeted attacks.
Weeks of the Nigerian government failing to do their job and protecting other Nigerians who happen to be Christians. So just imagine those people were coming over to the United States. Okay, they were taking up residence and bragging and boasting how they were taking American jobs. It just sounds so evil.
Against Christians. Well, live now to CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi. She's in Washington. So, Olivia, do we know if there was any coordination with the Nigerian government to carry out these strikes?
Well, Reed, it's good to see you and a very happy holidays, I might say. We do know that there was some coordination between the United States government and the Nigerian government. We know that there was a phone call between their foreign minister and Secretary of State Marco Rubio before and after the strikes happened. We also know that there was some intelligence sharing happening between the Nigerians and the U.S., and that's a big deal because of what you just laid out there, which was that the Trump administration, and Trump himself in particular, has been critical of the Nigerian government, saying they're not doing enough to protect Christians in the region. Well,
so you can imagine how this is a concern, that these are the people that will come to America who are your scammers, who are your illegals, and who are your criminals that are here in the United States that they cosplay as foundational Black Americans and try to use up benefits that would normally go to a foundational Black American. Let's listen further.
now it seems there's coordination between the two countries to conduct these strikes against ISIS. Now, we don't know how successful these strikes were. We haven't gotten a readout yet of the lethality of them, how many people were killed as a result, but we do know that this is an effort by this administration.
Where are the Pan-Africans right now? What do they have to say about this? What do they have to say about the xenophobia that these people that leave here and come to America with the tribalism and look down on foundational Black Americans? Where are they?
To protect Christians in the region, and this is a very complex issue because the Nigerian government is dealing with a lot of secular groups in that region, Boko Haram, ISIS, among others, that have been threatening civility and their governments for years. So this is certainly a ramping up of this administration to conduct strikes, especially as the president is looking at Venezuela and Somalia as well, where he has been conducting strikes in the waters and lands off of both of those countries. So quite
So you have to understand how the Nigerian immigrant must think that when he comes to America, that his savior is a white person, and that he feels like he has to do extra to please them. And so this is why he undermines us, because he thinks that we are beneath him for some reason, because he has made it from this country here where all the terrorists are here. So let's listen a little further.
Notable there. But certainly what would be a ramping up of this administration's campaign to protect Christians in Nigeria. Reed.
And on Christmas Day, no less. So let's spin the globe just a little bit. We have our eyes on what's going on in Ukraine. We also saw in a post on X, Volodymyr Zelensky suggested a face-to-face meeting with President Trump could be very close. Walk us through where these peace talks stand.
Yeah, there is some reporting out there from the Ukrainian side and Zelensky himself that there could be a potential meeting between President Trump and President Zelensky on Sunday at Mar-a-Lago. That is where President Trump is spending the holiday season. I do want to note, though, the White House is not confirming that and has not given us any guidance on that so far. We're only hearing it from the Ukrainian side, and that's notable because the Ukrainians have been pushing for weeks to get a sit-down between President Trump and President Zelensky.
Yeah, they want to sit down now because they're tired. Look at Zelensky. He could have been giving us that raw earth, and we would have been over there with our companies and our machines getting that raw earth, and they would have essentially been protected. But he has killed thousands, or allowed, I should say, thousands and thousands of Ukrainians who have died, as well as Russians, over this little war right here. Okay? Over a piece of land that used to be part of Russia. Okay, that's fine. You don't like the fact that Russia wants that little piece of land back. Okay, that's good and that's fine. But we need to worry about the United States of America and protecting its people. This is one of the reasons why I agree with the travel ban for Nigeria. And I agree that Trump stepped back and just allowed them to figure it out until they're ready to come to a peace agreement. Let's go.
Zelensky. And President Trump has said he's not going to sit down with Zelensky until they are close to reaching a deal. We know this week that Zelensky met and had a phone call with Special Envoy Witkoff and the president's son-in-law Jared Kushner, who's working on this peace plan with Zelensky. They unveiled this 20-point plan, and it.
Do you remember when Zelensky was at the White House and he was showing off and twitching and turning and he was in disagreement with our president as if like he had a better option? Now here we are. Watch.
They're getting closer to the finish line, or at least somewhere where the Ukrainians feel very comfortable saying, here's our proposal, here's what we're willing to give. And there were two major concessions in the latest peace proposal that are quite notable. And one of them is talking about that eastern Donbass region. It's about 20% of Ukraine's landmass has been under Russian-occupied rule for the last 4 years, since really the start of the war. And previously, it was a non-starter for Zelensky to even think about giving up that land. He now says he may be willing to pull back troops if the Russians are, that's the key, and create somewhat of a demilitarized zone there. Now, read months ago, that was unthought of, that Zelensky would even agree to that. So that's quite notable that he's willing to cede some of that for a potential path towards peace. But again, this is all hinging on the Kremlin and Putin.
Okay, so that's where I'll stop it there. I want to thank you. Please like, also share, and remember, if you're a foundational Black American, this is one of the reasons why we don't take any crap off of tethers or any immigrant that wants to undermine the foundational Black American. This is Black Views, bringing you the Black news. Please like, subscribe, also share. Have a great day.